And now the event we have all been waiting for. You're watching the finals of the Olympics at Ryman cycling race. Our Ryman athletes have shown true grit and determination to be here today. 104 cyclists from 31 villages entered the cycling. Over the past 6 weeks, it's been hard work to get the times down and speeds up to qualify for the final. Interactive augmented reality technology is a key component here. Each racer can see their progress and position in the race as they travel through the virtual circuit of Japan's Tsunoshima Island. The competition has been whittled down to only the fastest athletes, with the women's race about to begin. I am your host, Paige James, 3 times Junior World Track Cycling medalist, and I can't wait to bring you all of the action. Top of the leaderboard are Doreen Watkins from Diana Isaac, Jessica Ledingham from Margaret Stoddart, Lynette Rofe from Linda Jones, Irene Amy from Anthony Wilding, from Charles Fleming we have Nora Fraser, and 2 Jane Mander riders we have Margaret Wilson and Denise Sparden. Jane Jackson representing Murray Hulberg, Elizabeth Palmer racing for Logan Campbell, and Noreen Parsons from Linda Jones. All up, there are 19 cyclists fighting it out in the final. They'll be covering a challenging 13.38 kilometre course. With the athletes now warming up, the excitement is palpable.
I'm going to try and win.
Host village Murray Hulberg has high hopes for finalist Jane Jackson, who has more than 60 marathons under her belt. She's done the Ironman race twice and competed in the grueling coast-to-coast event.
Well, I've done quite a lot of long-distance cycling. I've not done much racing, and this is relatively, compared to what I used to do, this is short. The last event I entered was a triathlon in December, and that was a 20k race.
Whangarei's Jane Mander has not one, but 3 athletes in the final, including Lynn Fraser, who's new to competitive cycling.
I'm pretty fit, I exercise every day. I don't cycle, I just knew I could do it, so I just entered.
Multi-talented Denise Barden finished 7th in the swimming heats, just missing out on a place in the final. But she's made the cut for the cycling. Jane Mander is also represented by former professional ski instructor Margaret Wilson, whose husband, Bruce, is the village coach.
It has been absolutely marvellous because our bikes have been right in our living area. I think my wife loves the competitive side. It'll be interesting to see how she goes today.
Margaret Stoddart cyclist Jessica Ledingham is new to competitive sport, but has the second highest qualifying time.
I've never been in a race before, let alone a hill race. This is the first competition I've ever been in my life.
In Christchurch, Diana Isaac fans are fired up with 2 athletes in the final.
This is the part, I think, of this whole thing that I have really enjoyed. This has brought people together, which I think is great.
But the real heat is on Margaret's friend, Doreen Watkins, who comes into this race as the top qualifier.
They're all calling me the Golden Girl. No pressure. I said coming into this that I used to be competitive at high school, but not since, but it sort of came back. It's all of a sudden you sort of think, oh yeah, we can do this. Great expectations to bring home gold for Diana Isaac, really.
Funnily enough, a little nervous.
And in 11 Ryman villages around the country, they're off. Nicholas and Watkins are off to a flying start, forming a group at the front with Fraser, a keen club cyclist and one to watch for a podium finish. The field all sticking fairly close, within 200 metres of each other, or that's about 650 feet for fans of Imperial Youth. Sue Greet now moves into 3rd position. Greet is another strong club cyclist. She was slow out of the blocks, but expect a strong ride from her. but it is early days. Look at these women go. The two leading ladies have shot ahead. They're 100 metres ahead of Greet in third now, but Greet isn't going to let them slip away so easily. She's clawing back the gap, just 50 metres now. We're at the 4 kilometre mark and it's still Watkins and Nicholas neck and neck. Greet behind in third and Fraser in fourth. It's outstanding to watch these Diana Isaac cyclists in lockstep as they lead this field. Logan Campbell's Elizabeth Palmer is also riding well here. The former triathlete had a hip replacement just 4 months ago. She is showing true grit. Our cyclists now about to hit the first climb. After initial heats on the flat, a series of hills on this virtual course is really going to test the athletes' mettle. As they approach the hill, Lynette Rofe of Linda Jones makes a move and enters at the top 9. Now a significant gap is opening up between Hawthorne and Amy in 6th and 7th place, and Leadingham and Rofe in 8th and 9th. Behind them, Jackson and Wilson are jostling for 10th position. We're at the halfway point now, so let's have a look at our overhead map. You'll see Nicholas tracking up front there with Watkins as the athletes head into the second part of the race. Greet in 3rd position with Fraser leading the peloton in 4th. The cyclists have another climb as they head towards the famous Tsunoshima Lighthouse. Isn't it incredible to see these riders from around the country competing in this virtual race? After a brief downhill reprieve, the athletes hit the real test of this course, the climb to beat them all. These remarkable athletes are digging deep. And Watkins makes a move. It's the first time in the race. Our leading lights are no longer side by side. Greet steaming into second place. Nicholas really fading on this major climb. She's ridden an outstanding pace alongside her village mate, but appears to be experiencing real difficulties early on the hill. There's an incredible battle now for 4th position. It could be carnage on the downhill. As Hatu Island comes into view, no one can touch Watkins. But Greet's making a good chase of it, closing down the gap. 100 metres now between Watkins and the finish line. Can Greet catch her? No, she can't. It is gold for Doreen Watkins. Sue Greet crossing the finish line for silver. And Nora Fraser from Charles Fleming takes the bronze. This has been an incredible achievement for all these women. Some of them have never ridden a competitive cycling race before. They have shown guts, determination and remarkable spirit. Let's have a look at the final times. Great race there from Doreen Watkins, finishing in 30 minutes and 59 seconds. 5 seconds ahead of Sue Greet. Crossing the line at just over 34 minutes is Nora Fraser, quickly followed by Margaret Nicholas, Christine Fryer, Colleen Hawthorne and Lynette Rofe.
Awesome. The job's done. It was a lot of pressure leading up to that, but cool.
I came in thinking, oh, if I get to the middle of the field, I'll be really happy. But when I got started, and I started up there in the front, I was really encouraged with that. So I just knew I had the gearing right. And yeah, so I've exceeded my expectations by miles.
How are you feeling?
Puffed just to be able to finish. Yeah, and so pleased just to take part. Fantastic. Thank you, Ryman.
It was fun. I watched the Olympics, I think. Pour myself a glass of wine and have a nice dinner and watch the Olympics. Yeah.
I was quite pleased with my race. I took 5 minutes off my practice time, so I'm not unhappy about that. Not near the top, but yeah, I finished the race. I feared right from the beginning in the heat, so I wouldn't be able to finish the race. So I finished the race, so it's all plus.
I'm so proud of her.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's good having a good coach with me. He's been there for 54 years.
What a race. Coming up next, we have the men's final.
And yes, it's time for the men's cycling final. I'm Scott Rice, your commentator for this race, and I'm really excited to be here. A strong bunch of contenders looking at heat times here. This one's going to be tight with just seconds separating the leading four. Alan Eriksson of William Sanders, John van der Shore of Evelyn Page, Douglas Shadbolt of Murray Halberg, and Kevin Wilkes of Jean Sandel. Impressive time trials too from Linda Jones athletes Les Christopher and David Parsons, Bert Sutcliffe's Graham Chambers, Bruce McLaren's David Cutfield, and Charles Fleming's Brian Fraser also placed highly on the leaderboard. All up, 18 men will be cycling today in the 13.38 kilometre race. We're getting close to start time now. And as the athletes warm up their bodies, the supporters warm up their vocal cords. One of the 12 host villages, Murray Halberg, has a crowd here for their man. Former marathon runner and triathlete Douglas Shadbolt.
Oh, I'm pretty nervous. Yeah. I didn't expect this to be such a big production.
Also warming up is Jane Mander's Eddie Taylor. At 84, the oldest competitor who's pulled off an amazing feat just to be here on the start line. Not only has he had a double hip replacement, but he's recovering from a road bike accident a few weeks ago that left him with a cracked rib.
Anyone who's riding a bike will one or times will fall over for whatever reasons, hurt a bit and all that sort of thing. But that's part of the game, isn't it? My competition is myself. So that's why I enjoy doing this sort of thing, because I'm trying to prove something to myself at the same time.
All eyes are on Eriksson here as the fastest qualifier.
A lot of pressure. You got to, if I had the fastest heat, well, I expect to do really well. But you never know on a day like today. On the day, isn't it? I'll be looking at the road and going as hard as I can. Yeah. Hopefully there'll be nobody to look at. Because I'm way out the front.
Riding right beside Eriksson is second fastest qualifier, Van der Shore. No pressure in this room, right?
I'm not keeping an eye on them at all. I'm just focusing like this. What they are doing it, that's not my business. But I will see it on my screen, of course. Well, somebody gets a flat tire. Of course I want to win. Everybody wants to win.
At Bert Sutcliffe, 81-year-old Graham Chambers has one of the top 10 times coming into this. Chambers, a big fan of the e-bike, cycles about 4 times a week. Graham Matthews riding for Hamilton's Hilda Ross. And beside him is Diana Isaac's Ross Nicholas. His wife Margaret's just come fourth in the women's event, so he'll be wanting to keep the family name in lights. In Havelock North, we've got Barry Jones riding for James Wattie. David Cutfield at Bruce McLaren also made one of the top 10 times in those heats. Brian Fraser from Charles Fleming qualified just 1 second behind McLaren. Over in Geelong, Australia, Tony Mitchin and Jack Conert are racing for Charles Brownlow. In Taranaki, Kevin Wilkes is fourth on the leaderboard, so he'll also be one to watch.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Eriksson quickly jostles to the front, establishing an early authority on the race, looking very strong. Van der Schaar shoots into second. He and Eriksson riding in the real world alongside each other, and the room is on fire. Behind them, Cutfield, Wilkes and Parsons riding strongly. These men are flying through the Tsuboshima course. Still a long way to go, lads, and let's hope they can keep something in their tanks. Wilkes is moving up the field now, slipping into second place. Van der Schaar in third position with Cutfield and Shadbolt chasing him. There's another bunch building back in the field, the riders from Diana Isaac and Linda Jones in fairly tight formation. Back in sixth, Doug Shadbolt is starting to show some pace. He's been steadily climbing through the pack with a great cadence and gear ratio. Up ahead, we're seeing a real battle for second between Wilkes and Van der Schaar. Eriksson pushing hard on the flat. Life looks peaceful on the virtual island, but in the room, the crowd's going crazy. It really is still anyone's ride at the front, despite the dominance shown by Eriksson. Good to have the Australians in today's race. Jack Conant and Anthony Minchin, they're riding strongly and moving up the field. Eriksson into the first climb, and his lead over Van der Schaar and Wilkes is shrinking, both overtaking Eriksson on this hill. Taranaki rider Wilkes is in the lead as the riders hurl into the second half of the course. Van der Schaar within spitting distance and Eriksson holding third. Shadbolt in fourth still leads the rest of the field. Weeks of training are clearly paying off for these athletes. This really is a fast race. At the back of the pack, a brave ride from Taylor 2, cycling with a cracked rib. A sharp little climb testing all the riders here. Eriksson driving through it strongly. The top three all within metres of each other. Wilkes off the hill now, puts 100 metres on the other two and enjoys a bit of a downhill.
Look you go.
Wilkes just now hitting the big climb, chased by Eriksson, then Van der Schaar. We're bang on the 10-kilometre mark and Eriksson is making his move, as we see him now overtake Van der Schaar. And he's caught Wilkes. Eriksson once more taking the lead. It's incredible to watch these athletes duelling on this punishing climb. All these athletes working hard to hold their positions. Eriksson must be enjoying this downhill towards the bridge, but behind him, Wilkes and Van der Schaar putting everything into their final chase. It's all closed up again to be almost anyone's ride. Wilkes and Van der Schaar overtaking Eriksson. Wilkes off the bridge and onto the home straight now. It's gold for Kevin Wilkes. Silver for John Van der Schaar. And bronze for Alan Eriksson. A great ride and triumphant finishes for all these Ryman athletes. So let's look at the results. Kevin Wilkes finishing first in 24 minutes and 9 seconds. John Van der Schaar 10 seconds later takes silver. Alan Eriksson takes bronze just 1 second behind Van der Schaar. Fourth place is Douglas Shadbolt, followed by David Parsons in fifth, Ross Nicholas in sixth, Les Christopher seventh, Anthony Minchin of Charles Brownlow eighth, Graham Chambers 9th and David Cutfield in 10th.
I couldn't ride any harder than that, so I'm happy with that.
Not bad for an old guy, isn't it?
Well, I'm pretty tired, and it was a tough ride, and the other competitors, they made it very tough for me, but I'm glad at the end of the day I got out on top.